Hi and welcome to another tasting video again. I thought it would be engaging and edifying maybe to talk about the different potentials of Grüner Veltliner and also the splendid Austrian wine country with two beautiful Veltliners in the glass. On the right hand side I have a Kolfok one. The winery Kolfok is located in Mittelburgenland in Burgenland, so on the very eastern edge or part of the country, bordering Hungary. This region is actually mostly known for its red wines, for its Blaufränkisch. And on the left hand side I have an Alzinger one from the Wachau. Wachau is actually located in Lower Austria and the westernmost wine region of the country, but I actually encourage you to do yourself a favor and watch my Wachau video on the wineghosts YouTube channel, because it's a very picturesque, beautiful wine country with its own wine laws, and I actually despise the idea to talk about wineghosts with an empty glass, so let's go on with the wines. So the first wine is the Kolfok one from Mittelburgenland. I also did a very edifying and entertaining podcast with this guy Stefan from the winery. It's a 2018 Grüner Veltliner Vulkan Alte Reben unfiltered wine. Alte Reben, this means that it was planted in the 50s and 60s, so we are talking about at least 60-year-old wines. And actually that's also a clone with slightly thicker skins and very deep green colors. So that actually is closer to the clone which is found in Hungary. So first the color. You can see that it's an unfiltered white wine. It's slightly murky, slightly cloudy, but it actually gets more crisp with every minute passed after pouring the wine. Yeah, it has significant presence of yeastiness, or it's a kind of a natural wine kind of smell. Very engaging. The wine is really still alive and very complex, kind of baroque nose, I would say. So the nose is kind of ciderish, I would say, and really like kind of this fermented pear-like smell, maybe a bit of fungi, a slightly ionized smell, maybe a kind of yodiness, but very inviting actually. And the acidity is very well integrated, so the palate is very saturated but still light, with really like a fantastic length as this wine. It's really dense in the mouth. I think Grüner Veltliner has this kind of characteristic that the acidity kind of starts very mildly and very friendly acidity in the beginning, but it's really dancing, so revibrates actually in the palate. But it really awakens your saliva and also your mouth. I can still feel the taste on my palate, and it's still evolving. And really the wine gets motivated to tell its story on the palate, and has its own will, I would say. So it's really not a fruit bomb, but rather like a true grape juice, I would say, with really refreshing mouthfeel and the lively really a liveliness and a lively kind of saltiness, but it's only there to make the wine more present, and has a slight phenolic grip, I would say, and really like a lasting impression. And it's more peachy, so the typical stone fruit characteristics are in this wine, but the acidity is kind of, it's a lingering, it's not so direct, not so buzzing, not so electrifying, but it's rather a broader mouthfeel. I would say it's really a food wine. It's not so spicy and not so fruity, but rather have this really fermented grape juice kind of character. It has something from everything, a little bit of acidity, a little bit of tannins also in the wine, but this yeastiness makes it much more compelling, I would say. And it only 11.5% alcohol, but it's really like it's compressed and I would say it's really would go well with a wide range of dishes, and also with the classics, of course, so sweet water fishes, but also with a little bit of more fat and cheesiness, and also this kind of character, but also aged cheese, this yeastiness would go really well. Really beautiful wines. I can't wait to go for the other one and compare them too. So the second wine is from Leo Alzinger, Ried Mühlpoint Grüner Veltliner Federspiel 2019. So it's 1 year younger, and the Federspiel, so it's actually the middle one from the Wiener Wachau's weight classes. And Leo Alzinger is really concentrated and dedicated to 2 grape varieties, Riesling and Grüner Veltliner, and located in Unterleuren. That's on the eastern part of the Wachau, so that's a bit warmer than maybe Spitz on the western side, but please look up my Wachau video on the Wineghosts YouTube channel to learn more about this very beautiful and engaging region. So actually the look of the wine is very much different from the Kolfok one, so it's really filtered one and very crisp, clean look. It's kind of silverish reflexes, although the wine is really young. And it's a partially terraced vineyard actually, so not so steep than some of the vineyards on the northern part of the River Danube in Wachau. And the soil is more like gneiss and schist, kind of clay soil. But the nose is very crisp, clean, kind of saltiness and stoniness already, very precise, very sexy kind of nose, I would say. So you really want to bite in this kind of wine. And it's kind of a sea breeze kind of smell, also some watercress, lemongrass, lime grind, so really a cool fruit quality, I would say. Like a peppermint also there. A little like kind of almost like a white wine vinegarish kind of smell, but in the positive sense. So it's very refreshing. That's what I want to go to. So yeah, that's more like a Veltliner from the book, I would say. It's a very linear kind of mouthfeel. So the Kolfok one is a bit broader and a bit like fills your mouth out. It's not so aggressive, not so electrifying, but this is very linear, very direct wine. But also has this buzzing dance at the tongue. So it has this kind of Grüner Veltliner-like acidity. So it's really dancing, and that's what gives the wine actually a very long mouthfeel. But the saltiness escorts the whole tale of the Wineghosts story, I would say. So the saltiness and the minerality, the kind of salinity is always there, and it becomes really the dominant feature of the wine at the finish. So the saltiness and this kind of acidity, very bright acidity, stays at the side of the mouth. So I would actually go more into this seafood kind of direction, more like a salty kind of cheeses, or actually go well with the gorgonzola. This counterbalance would go well, really well with this kind of plate. But actually, like under the saltiness, there is a very ripe peach kind of layer, very ripe, almost marille, almost apricot kind of characters. So that gives a very interesting second layer to the wine. So very, at least 2-3 layers in this wine. And also it's very light and crisp. I would say it's a lighter kind of white wine, but it has really a depth. So really 2 schools of Veltliner, so let's go for the conclusion. So just looking at these 2 wines together again, I will also post a photo like this. On the left hand side, the Kolfok one is really kind of trüb, it's kind of cloudy, and also on the right hand side, the Alzinger is very precise, and actually it reflects also in the taste and also in the smell. So if I would have to organize a blind tasting session for my colleagues or for my friends, I would rather put this Alzinger one because it's a very Veltliner from the book, and also represents greatly the Veltliner with this kind of dancing acidity, and also the aromas which I got out with this kind of light spiciness, but also stone fruity kind of character, but also this very rocky, labor intensive terroir in the Wachau with this great cureness. So that also represents the Wachau and also the Veltliner. And the Kolfok, as my girlfriend said, it has more liberty. It's like the more adventurous, slightly wild child of the Alzinger one, but it has more of the Pannonian liberty than the German precision on the right hand side. So I actually really enjoyed these memorable stories from these two bottles. I would say these are very different wines. So on the right hand side it's a very more precise, cool kind of character, but on the left hand side, the Kolfok one, it's really not the most typical Veltliner, but it has a very infinite joy factor, and also both wines have this kind of pride and sense of place, very labor intensive viticulture behind both of these wines. And maybe leave your recommendations below, what should I taste next time, because I also like to do more of these videos. And if you are interested in my opinions, please leave a comment below and listen to my podcast, the 38th Wine Ghost podcast with Stefan from Kolfok. Very gripping and honest wines from Mittelburgenland. And I would encourage you to try different wines, very typical and untypical grape varieties, terroirs, because who said that the Veltliner should taste like this, you know? You maybe one day you like the Kolfok more, the other day the Alzinger one, and the wine is freaking cute. So be more experimental, and may the wine ghosts be with you. Cheers.